To join.
Come again, ma'am.
Rita is pinning to join Zoom.
Okay,
In WhatsApp, she's messaging.
5227, I don't know. Okay. Yes, could you please change your name from 2152327 to your actual name, please? You can just do by right-clicking on that three dots whenever you move mouse to that participant, window. Okay, no problem there. So here, where I was at. Give me a minute, please. Yeah, descriptive analysis. So here, these are the description of a data, and description of data means this is months, months. This is like car, SALES. So you can talk about the data in terms of whatever given to you. You can basically, you can see my Excel sheet, right? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Now this Excel sheet, we need to basically make it look really great in terms of, our data descriptive way. And this is how we do it normally. You make it some really good looking headers, footers. You might apply some sort of a filter. If you go to data, you can apply filters to these as well. Okay, we need to select these things, and then you can apply filter. So these are the filters. Now months, you can select just April. You just select December. You can just have one descriptive this way. Or you can select all, so you'll have all these things. Similarly, well, this is sorted like, you can sort it from smallest to largest or largest to smallest, whatever you want, largest to smallest. So July was my best month. If you can see, the graph is also reversed in that scenario, and so on and so forth. This way, you can use descriptive analysis in terms of if you want to describe whatever you have got as in data, and we can do these things description in an English-like language. So you are just reading this Excel sheet. As I told you, horizontals are my record, verticals are my categories. So in terms of categories, I might have something like model of a car, right? And then I might have in this total 24, I might have Ford as a Ford, 150. It's a kind of small truck. I might have sold 8. I might have, Ford. Oops, come. Where am I writing? I'm writing at a wrong column. I might have, let's say, Toyota. I might have Toyota Camry. I might have, sold. Okay, I need to delete these things. So like this, you might have some data at your disposal, and you might, try to explain it in an English-like format. So this is like a 14. I need to have another fuse which I have sold, like, Honda. I might have Kia, and I can go on Subaru and blah, blah, blah things. It depends on your actual, what you can say, car sales thing. This you can, oh, come on, not here. Here. So is it total 24 now? It's a 23. So let me make it 4. So this way, this is what I've sold in terms of month of July, which is making total 24. And like that, you can basically answer question like, so total cars I sold in month of July 24. Out of 24, I have 8 trucks sold, 16 Toyota sold, Honda 6, and Kia 4. So these are different cars. That's how I sold. And this we can call it as a descriptive analysis. Okay, so you are just describing the data given to you in a progressive manner, or you're summarizing in the English-like points in terms of those data points to be spoken in terms of English, to be shared or resulted in terms of the data given to you in a constructive way. What is a constructive way? If the data is not really, what you can say, can't be inferred, and sometimes this thing do happen. We have seen the, English meter reading example, right? We couldn't really convert the data into the actual data by all the means, and there were lots of manual updates which were needed. So it means that the data was not good. In such scenario, we need to understand, like we need to go to the person who has given that data and might check with him, like, hey boss, the data given to me it's not inferring into really good descriptive points or descriptive data points for me. Could you please have a look at the data? Is it the real data, or am I missing something, or the data got corrupted or something like that? So this way, we need to make sure whatever data is retrieved by us, whatever data given to us is in line with the correct data, is in line with the whatever the data party is going to give it to you. And this is again, we learn from experience. So to start with, whenever you start your job, you might have a senior who closely working with you in terms of how do they use which type of processes to clean the data, to sort the data, to model the data in their own day-to-day business life. And that's how we normally get trained on job as well. Okay. And even Guruschools have these, me as in Ravindra and Prerna madam, we are going to help you out in our day-to-day project support way. So if you have any problems, even on job, we are there to help you out. So you are not like, start working in a isolated environment. So we are there to help you out in a progressive manner. And this way, we'll try to understand the basic theory, try to do some hands-on practice so that we gather enough knowledge to clear our interview. Please treat interview as your first obstacles, okay? And we are working towards that. Now let's try to come back to the descriptive analysis. So descriptive analysis is a type of analysis of data that helps describe, show, summarize data points in a constructive way such that the pattern might emerge that fulfill every condition of a data, which means that the data is going to give you some inference, some result in terms of a business-like language or an English-like language to be shared with the other party, to share with the stakeholders. The descriptive techniques often include constructing tables or quantiles, means method of dispersions, such as variance, standard deviation, or cross tabulation. That's what normally referred as crosstabs, that can be used to carry many disparate hypotheses. So here what we are trying to do, we are trying to understand different technical terms in terms of data analytical processes. We are going to study each of these things in a step-by-step manner in a few slides. But right now, the quartiles means a kind of quarter-like analysis. Let me go take you back to the Excel, and we'll try to understand how this quartile works in a day. Normally, quartiles means quarters. So what are quarters? In a typical year, if they are talking about yearly quarters, the quarters are Jan, Feb, March. So these are my first quarter. So in terms of whenever I talk about quartile differences, Jan, Feb, March, and April. So this is my first quarter. Quarter is 1/4. Like we have 12 months. My quarter is, 3 months. January, February, March, then April, May, June, and so on and so forth. So we have 4 quarters in a year, Jan, Feb, March. These, first quarter, I'm talking about total sale of these total 3 months sale is total of 39. Could you see at the bottom? The sum is 39. The count is 3 and average is 13. This is the actually progressive figure we are talking about. So in Jan, Feb, March, I have total cars sold in the first quarter is 39. Now, how many Fords, how many Toyota? Yes, I can basically have those figure in the data. Similarly, in my second quarter, April, May, June, I have sold 60 cars, almost double with the first quarter, and so on and so forth. So this way I can analyze the quarterly data. Anybody have any question in terms of understanding quartile or quarter data?
No.
Okay, so quarter means 1/4. So if there are 100 records, the quarter can be 0 to 25, then 26 to 50, and so on and so forth. So these are quartile range we talk about, and you can describe this thing on the basis of quartile range also. Let me take you back to the presentation. Then we have dispersion in the terms of how the data is being distributed. So like we see in the first quarter, 39 car sales. In the next quarter, 60 cars got sold, and so on and so forth. Then we talk about variance. Variance is how does it vary? And we talked about first quarter, 39 car, second quarter, 60 car. Oh, wow, it's almost double. And you can basically analyze in percentage also in terms of the variance. So how do you analyze percentage? Can anybody tell me how do you analyze this thing in percentage here? If I select this thing and do a total here, let me do a total here. So how do you do total? This thing equal to, I'll click on here, I'll say plus, I'll click on here, I'll say plus, I'll click on here, and I'll press enter. Now, this was for first quarter, right? Sorry, first QTR. Okay, let's try to have a second quarter total. Second QTR total. So how do you do it? Again, equal to, I want to add these three figures. Now, Jan, Feb, March was my first. Second is April, May, June. So April, May, and June. Oh, come on. Okay, June. So this is second quarter, 60 cards as sold. Now, how do you analyze the difference? I'll say equal to, I'll put 39. I'll put 60 divided by 39 into 100. And this is my percentile figure. So how much percentile increase? 153% increase. 153.85. Because 6 is major number. So I'll have these two decimals. You can change this view the way you want. Here we have a reduction of decimals, increment of decimal. Could you see? Normally you can have just this thing as well. So it's like 154 percentile increase. Even I can use the percentile sign from here as well. So, percent style, control shift percent, and this is how you calculate the percent also. Please take it as a homework to find percentile throughout the Excel, through the Excel with the given figures. Okay, so this is the way you can analyze or you can describe the data. What I'm doing, I'm just looking at the data, I'm just observing the data. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay.
No.
So we have understood terminology like quartile. We have understood terminology like descriptive. Now let me take back to the presentation. Here, there is something called standard deviation. We'll come to that in a couple of slides. So standard deviation talk about how much the figure is deviated in terms of we have increased by 154%, we might decrease by 80%, and so on and so forth. These things does happen practically. So what you're talking about how much deviation per record is happening, and so on and so forth. Then there's a cross tabulation. If you have number of different sheets, you might compare it with different number of sheets. So let's say, let me go back to my Excel, and here, could you see Excel?
Yes.
Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to rename this as 2022. Here I'm going to add, I'm going to rename this thing as an 2021, and so on and so forth. I might have another types of data in terms of 2022. This is 2021. And here we are talking about something like older year, right? And here I might have some different numbers. Let's say, anyone to give their thought process, how much I have sold in July 2021? What type of number should I give here? We are just trying to understand the difference between cross tabulation. Okay. Anybody want to suggest the data figures here? We are just trying to build an example from our thought process. So let me give you here. Let me put 10. Let me put 13, let me put 12. I'm just giving any number which I believe is a kind of correction or older data cells, older cells in my older month. So this is, let me put it as a 9. So these are the, this should be also reduced. So let's remove this thing now. So here what I did, this is what the figure of car sales in 2021. This is a figure of car sales 2022. Now, if I want to basically find out overall, like in a similar way, I can tabulate it with a graph. So I just selected, I'll do insert. I did something like, let's do a line graph, which is much simpler, right? So yes. So in the 2021, the car sales figure not a linear. In 2022, this was a bit linear, right? Could you see the difference between, gradual increase of car sales, right? Okay, this is like sorted reversely, right? So let me sort it out with the smallest to largest, right? Yes, smallest to largest, and then I'll plot a graph here. Okay, so let me do this thing. Let me plot a line graph. Okay, now this is a gradual increase. Yeah, there is a decrease in terms of February car sales than our gradual, but still it's a gradual increase. But if you look at these things, it's really haywire. Means I did good in July. Oh, again, it's the same thing, right? July, June, May. Okay, it's a like a reverse thing. So that's how I need to select this thing. I need to apply filter. Where do I apply filter? In data. I'll apply filter here. I'll have to have something like smallest to largest. Now this is also gradual increase, but still these figures are basically also a bit of linear, but there are a bit of more variation here. Could you see, could you observe from your normal eye? There are variation here and here. Hello, are you hearing me? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And there is a bit of just one this thing. Okay, this looks smaller, so let me increase the size of this thing. You can just click here and you can increase the size. Okay, and this way there are 1, 2, 3 deviation. It's not a single line. The deviation is all about straight line. Means if there's a no deviation, then it's a single straight line. There's a few deviation, it will still more or less look like single line, but yes, there'll be ups and down. Similarly, here are more ups and downs. So this deviation is much as a larger, at a larger numbers. So there are 3 deviation, and in 2022, I have lesser deviation. Lesser deviations are good for business because I'm really progressing in a step-by-step manner. That's how the business people, the business leader take it out. Again, depends on your thought process. You might present it accordingly. Again, here these are the samples I have taken from raw data which we have just created for our understanding. Okay. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay, no problem. Let me take back to the presentation and we'll study more in descriptive analysis. Okay, so we can build some sort of some sort of a hypothesis here. Hypothesis means some sort of result based on those graphs, those tables, and so on and so forth. Measures like segregation, discrimination, inequality are studied using specialized descriptive techniques. Segregation in the sense, how do you segregate these things? How do you categorize the data? Is it gradually increasing, gradually decreasing? These are the simplest possible segregation. There are some sort of very fluctuating data. That's also kind of segregation or a type of data to be fluctuated. Like we discussed in terms of our scores in an exam of our kid in terms of English. So if he or she having quite a few different results out of 100, let's say in a first quarter test, he got 40 out of 100. In a second quarter, he got 36 out of 100. In third quarter, he or she might got 45. So he or she is improving. But yes, the deviation is there. Okay, right? The overall, you can plot that same graph as we did for the this car salesman. You can have the marks plotted quarter-wise, unit test-wise, depending upon your analysis. These are the best analytical techniques you can do. You can use it for your day-to-day life also, like the gradual marks analysis in terms of how many marks we have, how we can basically try to understand where he or she is performing good, where he or she is lagging. Similarly, in our home expenses, we can study these things. We can segregate, we can analyze, we can describe, we can cross-tabulate. If you have different, sheets year-wise, you can still do a cross-tabulation, in terms of analyzing how much I spent in last July, how much I'm going to spend in this July, this March, and so on. So we build discrimination in terms of, we try to separate them out in segregation. Discrimination means we build these results. we build the result of inequality and try to share with our, try to solve a business problem, try to address those requirements given to us. So these are what we can say descriptive techniques. You are just describing the data at your hand. Discrimination measured with the help of audit studies or decomposition methods as well. If it's huge data, you might need to decompose the data, and there could be an auditory procedures. Okay, let me open an Excel sheet for you with a big amount of data where we can, where we can really study these, decomposition type of stuff. Okay, so let me open that data and where was that? Yes. Let me open a data called employee data. Let me share that, Excel with you. Give me a minute, please. Go to Zoom. Okay. Could you see an Excel sheet with the employee data here?
Yes.
Right now, this is a big data. This is actual data we have practiced, I think, in a couple of previous sessions. Here it talks about a data of a company around, how many rows we have? Around 1,000 rows. Okay, and here what we are trying, what we have gathered the data from different department, different business unit, in terms of employee data. This is called employee sample data, and it's in various countries. With various cities and blah blah things. Okay, now in this standard employee data, if you want to find a result, you need to first either clean the data, but this data looks like a clean data. You can just observe by going down and trying to understand if there are any special character, if there are any missing data elements, or you can use some tools also like filtering and all. Let's try to use filtering tool here. How do you do that? So what I'll do, I'll select the header. This is what we call header row. And I'll go to home, I'll go to data, and I'll apply filter. Now, why do we apply filter? To check out the sorting. How do you check out the sorting? How do you check out the, discrepancy of a data? By observing, by clicking here, I can see all these data, there are no blanks. Could you see blanks here?
No.
Let me showcase you. There could be blanks in, let's say, wait a minute. Is there blanks in city? Oh, come on. There are no blanks in the city. Okay. Are there any blanks in countries? No, there are no blanks in countries. Are there any blanks in salary?
Go
Yes.
check with
Could you see the blanks?
Yes.
So whenever you apply filter, and if you can see the blanks, and if it's a critical data, well, bonus, I believe it's a kind of resultant data. Means we calculate bonus on the basis of attendance, performance, previous salary, and blah, blah things, right? So yes, there could be some blanks. So this is not a very critical lacuna. Again, this has to be inferred from the data. So this can be in some data, bonus might be a critical element if you are just studying the bonus. Right? So for that scenario, this blank won't help you out. Here, I can clearly see the blanks means the bonus is not given to those employees. Could you relate something like this? Anybody have any question, confusion on these? Whatever I'm inferring, whatever I'm presenting to you as a result. Could you understand why I'm saying there could be blanks in bonus?
Yes, maybe some of the employers didn't get bonus, or
Perfect.
some of us never been get bonus.
Perfect. But there shouldn't be any blanks in name, right? If there are any blanks in name, my data is not good. There are no blanks in names. So this is really great. Okay. And I'll cancel it. So whenever you apply these filtering techniques, you can understand, you can observe these data depending upon the importance of the data or the business requirement. You can validate the data if it's clean, if it's good to use or something like that by those techniques. And these techniques, the more you practice, the more you'll understand. Okay. Now, how do you create a description of these data? It's really huge, right? To create a description of these data, we need to understand the requirements first. So first, requirement can be, let's say, how many vice presidents are there? Well, it's looking like more than 24, right? So let's try to understand how many vice presidents are there. So how do you see? I'll click on job title and I'll remove this check from select all, and I'll just put a select on vice president only. So I'm selecting or I'm filtering the row just for one day job title, and I'll say okay here. Oh wow, now I can see the vice president. Now here there are so many vice president. So what I can do, I can select this number of rows, and I'm going to this row, right? So here the count is 105. Wow. So out of 1000 employee, there are 105. That's kind of how much percent? Can anybody tell me?
One of five.
Percentage, ma'am. Total employee 1000. Vice
Yeah.
presidents are 105. How much percentage? Oh man. Can anybody? 10% or 10.5% to be precise.
10 point something 1%.
Yes, yes.
Somehow.
Perfect, perfect. So this way, this is not a normal thing, right? Because there are less number of percentage in a real life. But yes, this company might be doing something where they require so many vice president. Okay, now if you want to just analyze vice president, well, there are various other departments. There are so many vice president in human resources only. So I can apply additional filter here and try to remove all and try to select just the human resources here. I'll say, okay, wow, there are how many? 5 vice president in human resources only, and I can select for all such type of different department also. Again, finance are 3, which is I think normal, right? In IT, let me find out how many in IT. Well, even IT have come on. Oh wow, IT have how many? I've selected these rows. So IT have 19. Could you see this count? 19 vice president, which is really not good, right? Because you don't have so many vice president. Let's see how many managers are there. So here I click, I do a select all. Oh, sorry, I do uncheck all, and let's see managers, right? What we are trying to analyze, how many seniority roles were given in a department. So in IT, we have 11 managers and 19 vice president. Does it sound good to you?
No.
Yes. Now these are the inferences we are building. So what we have analyzed from the data, there are more vice president than a manager, which is normally not a real thing. So there should be something wrong. The data given to me, or is this the right thing? We might check with the person who have given these data to you. And like that, you can infer on the basis of data by slicing, filtering, and so on and so forth. And this is how you build your inferences, you build your results just by observing data. Have you done any mathematical calculation on employee data till now?
I did.
Oh, that percentage, forget about that. Percentile is just, you can do it on a fly of your tongue, right? So yeah, but okay. Normally, you build the results mostly by observation and very few calculation. That's how we analysts normally work on a day-to-day basis. And these type of results, I can create a PowerPoint and add these results there. And I might take a picture, or I might take a screenshot of this slide like this, and I'll present them. So we have 11 managers here, and we have so many, let me do it for the vice president. So if I check again for the vice president, no, not the department, the job title. In terms of vice president, oh, come on. Vice president, okay. So there are 19 vice presidents. So I'll select again vice presidents. You can select whatever you want. You can take another screenshot, another, what you can say. This is the tool I use called snipping tool. It's available for Windows 10, Windows 11, and various other operating systems. So this type of screenshot you can capture with this tool called snippet tools. Is this a help? No, it's a. If I go to help, you can download this tool. This is for Windows 10, Microsoft Windows snipping tool, as they call it, snipping tool. You can get it for you as well. This is a really wherever company, whichever company you join, they'll give you such tool to have these, screenshot taken to be inserted in your Microsoft PowerPoint.
If you just Windows logo, Shift and S, the snippy tools short form
Shift and S.
is window logo.
Oh,
Shift and S.
Shift
Mhm.
S.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is a Windows proprietary snipping tool. Okay, that's also good. See here, could you see my screen? Thanks a lot, madam. This is really helpful tip. And believe me, there are good things which I also learned. And now we can paste this thing in our PowerPoint. If I take you here and if I do Control V, see, amazing, right? Wow, I've learned a new things. So Windows, Shift and
No,
S.
we couldn't see the
Oh,
change.
sorry.
Yeah,
I'll show you the presentation. Pardon me for that.
Also, sir, I am
okay.
unable to put the drop
Okay,
down.
Control V. And you got this image here, and you can, do it smaller. This is the image, right? You can do smaller and you can play around with it, and you can reduce the text and whatever you like to present. Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Please go ahead. You have a question?
Yeah, sir, can you once again show how to put the drop down, like the data validation?
Sure, ma'am.
Everything like you did, but
Sure, no problem. I'll show you. Don't worry. We are here to learn. Okay, like I've learned from the madam, right? Thanks a lot for that, man. So here, how do you put a drop down, right? So let me go back. Control Z. Is this no? Again, Control Z. Control Z is for
Undo.
doing
Undo.
Undo the.
Right. So let me do a Control Z again. Oh, come on. When I've started with these things, I don't know. Okay. Now I'm in the data, right? Now I want to apply what you can say filter. This is a filter in the data tab, in the menu. This is the menu. This is our ribbon, right? So menu is home, file, home, insert. This is the menu items. These are the ribbon item. From access, from web, refresh all, blah, blah, blah thing. There's a filter. You can see this thing. Again, there's a shortcut, Control Shift L. Okay. So if you are here and if your headers are labeled, you can use Control Shift L to get filtered apply. Otherwise, what you can do, you can go to data tab, you can click on filter. But for this, you need to have a separate header row. Header in the sense, what the data elements, these are what we call categories. All vertical columns are categories. So if you have a column name, then it gets filtered clearly. So if you have a column name on the first column, the Excel can clearly understand. Otherwise, it takes as a first row as your column names. So you should have a column name. Does that answer your question, ma'am? Could you able to do that?
yeah, I Control Shift.
L. L for large.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, got
Or
it.
L for Louisiana.
Yeah, I got it, sir. Thank
Sure.
you.
Okay. Most welcome. So this is what we call filtering. Slicing in the sense selecting a few columns out of those, whatever we have generated as a filter. So this is what we call normally. Could you see my presentation now? Hello, is my presentation visible?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I thought, it's not visible. That's why I've did it again. No problem. Because sometimes this Zoom really, works in a difficult scenario. No problem. So we've understood how we can segregate, discriminate, and we basically build a measure of these things. And we audit. Audit in the sense you observe and note down the observation in terms of the segregation, discrimination, and all these type of differentiation. Decomposition means you break down into smaller sheets, like the big sheet which we are talking about, employee data. We have filtered that sheet for a typical vice president, for a project manager job role, and we understood like vice presidents are more than the project manager, which is really not a normal scenario. Then we might go and study why this is something like that, and that's kind of diagnostic. But first of all, we are studying the descriptive analysis. After descriptive analysis, you can progressively go to the diagnostic analysis to understand how we can diagnose the data, as a further analytical steps or processes. More segregation basis on types or inequality of outcomes need not to be wholly good or bad in itself. This is we are analyzing. So analysis you shouldn't categorize it good or bad. You might say it's increasing, decreasing, but normally we don't label it as in a generosity term. So we label it in a specificity of a terms, like it's progressing, evolving, it decreasing, it's reducing, and so on and so forth. But it is often considered as a marker of unjust social processes. That's why we don't say good or bad, because progression is not always good, right? Increasing number of COVID patients. Do you think that's a good? That's a bad, right? Are you with me? Hello?
Yes,
Am I
sir.
audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So please do respond. Otherwise, I feel like, am I? Okay, no problem. So here we have to understand how we infer it, how we to print the result in our PowerPoint. We normally don't use word good or bad. We use word like increasing, evolving, progressing, or decreasing, reducing, and so on. So accurate measurement of different steps across the space and time is a prerequisite for understanding these processes. So when you say the employee, bonus, when we consider the car sale increase from 100 to 110, or out of 1000 we had 105 is basically a number of vice president in that employee data sheet, which is quite staggering, quite big, right? That's why we don't express this in good or bad, but we try to express it in a more formal wordings, more formal expressions, like, yes, it's really, larger than comparison with the manager numbers and so on and so forth. So that's why having 10% or more than 10% vice presidents are really not a normal thing. So there should be some reasons for that. And then we can go into the diagnostic process to understand why there are more vice president and so on and so forth. Does anybody have any question on descriptive analysis as of now?
No.
Well, let me go ahead. Now, types of descriptive analysis. There are, many data analysts do categorize it further, and this can be a normal tools applied to the descriptive analysis. So this could be something called measures of frequency. In a given car, how many cars are Ford in a given employee? How many there are vice presidents? So there are 105 vice president in a company of 1000 employees. And this way, we can talk about measure of frequency, measure of central tendencies. We'll come to this in a couple of minutes. These are the different type of, analytical thought process or tools we use to analyze that data. Measures of dispersion, measures of position, contingency tables, and scatter plots. Scatter plots are also type of graphs we can use as well. Measure of frequency. In a descriptive analysis, it's essential to know how frequently a certain event or a response is like to occur. Like in our scenario, we have seen there are 105 vice president from 1000 employee. So this way, if you're comparing, there are more than 10% of the vice president in 1000 in that company with 1000 employees. So we are considering the sample in the terms of vice president to a complete population that's total of 1000 employees. This is a prime purpose of measure of frequency, to make a like count or a percent. So you are comparing the data, comparing the sample with the population. Sample means whatever you are considering for your analysis. Population means the total data, total records available at your disposal. For example, consider a survey where 500 participants are asked about their favorite IPL team or favorite, favorite, cricket team, football team, whatever you like. A list of 500 responses would be difficult to consume and accommodate, but the data can be made much more accessible by measuring how many times a certain IPL team or a football team got selected. So this way, we have to understand the number of, repetitions in a given data. Like in terms of vice presidents, there are 105 vice president in an employee of 1000 in the 1000 employees. Could you understand the measure of frequency? Again, These are basically a bit of mathematical terminology. This might take a minute or two to understand. Okay, so we will try to relate this thing to the actual occurrence figure. So when I talk about my kids scores, I can ask a question: how many times my kid having trouble with scoring more than 40% in English? That's the kind of frequency I'm looking for. That's the kind of number of occurrences I'm looking for with the given data. So if you have a data of your kid for the last 5 years, then you might have around, how many, like 4 unit tests, 2 these things, 6 tests per year. So we have around 30 tests total. So there could be out of 30, let's say 12 or 13 instances, he might have scored less than 40 marks out of 100. I'm just sharing an example with you to understand the occurrence or the measure of frequency we are talking about. Could you understood what I mean by measure of frequency here?
Yes, the number of occurrences.
Yes, that's very rightly said. Now, for everybody else who think it's a challenging scenario, please have a look at recording, and I might explain it in our next session as well if you have difficulty in understanding. Now, these are the terminology which are normally described in the day, in a day-to-day data analytical job. So that's why we need to understand what it's mean by measure of frequency, what it mean by measure of central tendency. Let me share some good YouTube videos also, so that you can listen to other trainers as well after our session, so that you can understand what all these descriptive analysis tools and techniques we use to understand or to explain the data given to us. Okay, these are the simpler terms where we don't put any calculation as such. These are normally we observe as is. Okay, let me move forward. Here, in terms of Excel has given us a good, really analytical tool. Okay, let me apply this analytical tool on an Excel sheet, and I'll guide you how do you apply these predefined analytical tools in an Excel, right? Now, this is the data. Let's say a data is given to you. Should we go with the smaller data? Okay, let me start with the smaller data. Then we might come on to this Excel sheet. What is the other Excel sheet? Yes, this is the data I got of a car sales in 2021. Now I want to analyze this, right? So what I do, I apply data analysis. So in a menu item, I go to data, and there's something called data analysis. Could you see data analytical tab here?
Yes.
Yes. Now, these are a number of tools, totally in 15. They've already included in that. So what I'll do, I'll select these things and I'll click on this data analysis tab. Could you see? There are a good number of options available even within data analysis. And how do you do it? You go to the descriptive statistics. Whatever terminology we are trying to learn is under descriptive statistics. And then I'll see, okay, now see what happened. It given me another type of pop-up. This is what we call pop-up. Now here talk about descriptive statistics. So what I'll do, I'll select this thing again, and I'll come back here. Now it's selected A4 to B12. A4 to B12. That's the total data selected. Now I want column. I also want rows. I want labels. I want the output in a new worksheet. Okay, I can create a new Excel sheet also. Workbook is the Excel file we are talking about. Sheet is these sheets. So they are these sheets, 2022, 2021. New workbook means it'll open in a new workbook. Okay, I want to open in this workbook only because this is more relevant. Then I want a summary statistics. I want confidence level of means. I'll select everything. Let's see. Okay, so these, and I'll click on OK. Please keep your eye open. Non-numeric data. Okay, this means that you couldn't select non-numeric data. So I'll select the data again from A5 to A12, and I'll select OK. Could you see what happened here?
Yes.
Okay, I got another Excel sheet called sheet 3. Okay, now let me what you can say, let me maximize this thing for you. So what it did, it selected, oh, this is really confusing basically. Okay, let me try to do, let me do Control Z. Oh, come on, let's go back to our sheet and let's try to do analysis for singular column first, and then we'll do for the multiple columns. Okay, I'll go to the data, I'll say data analysis, descriptive statistics. Okay, I'll select all those things, I'll say okay. So again, why is going on a row basis? I couldn't understand. I've not selected row. Okay, let me delete this Excel sheet again. Okay, I've just selected cells, right? It should give me only, okay, let me descriptive, and it says, okay.
Can you,
Yeah.
Can
There
you
is a problem.
uncheck the uncheck the largest,
Yeah,
smallest,
I
one by
did that.
one? I was
Pardon me
never
for
clear.
now I'll say okay.
Mhm.
What the hell? B12 to B59 was the challenge here. Okay. These are the columns, not the rows, and that's why I'm contradicting. I was contradicting. Now, could you see a single column? There are two columns, okay, and there are these, different labels they've came up with, and these are the numbers they've came up with. Right now, let's go to try to understand one after another. Right, there is a mean. Mean means. Can anybody tell me what is mean? We have did this thing in before few classes. Could you recall what you mean by mean? Can anybody?
Average.
It's a
Yes. Go ahead, ma'am.
Average is the mean.
That's right. Average is the mean. So how do you calculate average? Average is total number of columns divided by number of occurrences. So when I want to do an average of these things, let me delete these as well. So when I want to calculate average on this thing, how do you do it? The sum is total here. The count is this, and average is 16.625, as you can see at the bottom, right? Similarly, here, the average came a bit different. I don't know why. The selection should be complete, right? We have complete selection. 17.15, and here it says 16.25. Is something wrong? This mean is my average, or they are not selecting it completely. 1757. Yeah, I believe I forgot to select the first one. So if I select from Jan to July, you'll get the actual data. So this is my average we are talking about. Mean is my average. The standard error is how much these all deviation is different from one another. How these occurrence of these numbers are different from one another, and how much those occurrences are different within themselves as well. Then we have median. Median is basically the middle figure, which might not have occurred here. Well, there is a 18, but otherwise there's a median 18. Mode, because there are no occurrences here. To have the occurrences, you should have a more. You should have an occurrences of a number. So if you have something like, let's say, let's add another figure called 18 here. 18, June, July, August. Okay. So now we can have the, let me delete this sheet again, and let me try with the complete, data. So this is, I've selected complete data. I'll go to data analytical tabs and descriptive statistics. I'm doing it from B2 to B9, 10. I don't know why it's keep doing these things, but no problem. So here I want B2 to B10, right? And I'm saying, okay, I have columns, labels in the first row. Okay, I don't want labels, let it be there. And this is okay. Now, could you see here? Now it's 16.77, and we have the mode as an 18 because 18 is a repetitive figure. So it depends on basically the frequency of it. So as you can see now, the average is 16.77777 something. So here we have 16.77 something. You can reduce the decimals. Let me do this thing. I'll select the column and I'll reduce the decimals to some, few, 2 decimals. So I'll basically decrease the decimal, right? I'll put it to the 2 decimals only. Okay, now we can model. This is the mean, this is the standard error, median, mode is basically repetition, standard deviation is basically how much the values are deviating and the average of those deviations. Okay, sample variance. So if you average it out, what will the overall sample variance in terms of the overall description of the data or the overall variance of the data? Okay, then these are all statistical terms. If you want to learn these things, let me share some videos with you. The courtesies and all those things, the skewness, the range, these are all, well, maximum, minimum, you can clearly understand. Minimum is 10 number, maximum is 20 number, 24. So minimum is our 10 and maximum is our 24. You can clearly see. But the things which you couldn't, oh, come on. The things, where am I?
The descriptive statistics I'm unable to put, sir.
Come again, ma'am.
Descriptive statistics I'm trying to do, but it is saying please choose at least one statistical option.
Yes, you need to. Okay, could you show us what you're doing? I'll make you. Wait a minute. Huh? I'll make you a co-host. Okay. Could you please present? Let's see what you're doing. It's coming up. It'll take a minute, ma'am. Give me. Yes. Okay. Yes. Just say cancel, ma'am, again. Cancel. Do it cancel. Can you cancel this?
She has to choose the summary statistics, the options below.
Oh, sorry. Oh, what's happening?
No, just do cancel. Just do cancel on this thing, please. Yeah. Yeah. Now click on data analytics, data analysis on the top. Ribbon. The last item on your ribbon. Yes. Yes. Descriptive statistics. Say okay. Okay. Now you selected B second to B13. B second to B13. You are group by columns. New worksheet. Okay. Could you select these summary statistics and select the other 3 as well? Say okay. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now you can arrange the column.
Yeah, I was trying so hard. Thank you.
I believe you might have not selected that option to display. That's why it says you're trying on blank and all. Okay. Sure. Great. Thank you. It's a simple thing, but yes. Now see what these 18 different, not 18, 15 different entities. These are the inbuilt entities in terms of statistical calculation within Excel. So these are already what you can say pre-programmed function in Excel, which we normally use, right? So here we can call mean, standard error, and all those things. So whenever you want to try something on these on your own, you can use these pre-programmed Excel statistics, right? Now let me do one thing. Let me share these video from other trainers as well in terms of understanding these different statistical thing, as well as how to build these Excel pre-programmed standard statistical methods. And then you can play around with it. Okay, you can create data like this, or let me select, or let me show you first for the employee statistics, how the employee data can be built to these standardized terminology. Now here, what we normally want to understand is basically having data analytical processes on this annual salary thing. So annual salary starts from J2 to, oh come on, most probably J. Okay, there's a blank. We shouldn't use blank. We shouldn't use blank. So it's like J1001. Okay, now let me try to do a data analysis on this. Could you see my screen? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. Now I'll do data analysis. I'll go to descriptive statistics. Well, as ma'am said, you can do a summary. This thing also, it's not here. Okay? I don't know why. Or you can, there are quite a few, good number of, you have sampling also here. Depending on Excel version, you might have some different options here. Okay. So I'm going to do a descriptive statistics. I'm going to do on a, what you can say, salary, right? Salary was on my J column. So what I'll do, I'll say J02 to J1001. Okay, and then I have columns, new worksheet, blah, 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 and I'll say, okay. Now, could you see, I got a results here. Now, if I want to understand, the total mean salary is 11,000, no, 100K, $13,217 plus 37 cents or something like that. There's a standard error in terms of this is the deviation from in between. Then we have a median of 96K. So overall, I pay on average 96K $0.56 96K plus $557 to everyone in my organization on an average yearly salary. The mode or the repetitions are 177 K, $4,043 I pay as a salary. So this is, I've done a data analysis of a salary for a given 1,000 employee. Could you see how much faster I can get a result within a couple of seconds? That's the beauty of Excel. That's why we use Excel to generate some pre-programmed result which are used quite frequently in a given corporate America or corporate Canada. And that's why this Excel is one of the most finest tool to be used for a data analysis. Please, I'm going to share these sheet with you, the employee data sheets. Play around with this, okay? You make a copy of this sheet and then play around with it so that you'll have the original sheet with you, where we're going to do more analysis, more progression, more data analytical processes in our next few sessions as well. Okay, and then try to understand about these more repetitive functions which you can explain. Again, there's no need to explain each and every function of these statistical calculation done by Excel. But at least you should know mean, median, mode, maximum, minimum, sum, count, and so on and so forth. The largest is basically just the next step from these minimum, maximum. Largest one is basically next to the maximum. So maximum is this figure. This is the same figure, so it's a repeating. So that's why they've given this. No, sorry. Okay. Largest one. Okay. I forgot to tell you. Largest K. Let me do this again for you. Pardon me for this. Okay. So we are trying to do analysis on J2. That's my cell to J101. Right. Now I'll go to data analysis again. I'll go to descriptive statistics. I'll say okay. Now here kth largest basically is another minimum and maximum repetition. So if I say kth largest, why can't I change that thing? Okay, I want to change it to the 2, and I will change this thing to the, oh, so come on, I'll change it to the 2 as well. This I normally, come on, this I normally do whenever I do it, because the minimum and maximum normally comes by standard, but K second largest is basically, let me show you. Now this is second largest. This is my first largest. This is my second largest. This is my first minimum, and this is my second minimum. Okay. So this is largest K and smallest K. You can induce that thing in your standard, Excel statistics pre-programmed resultant sheet. Okay. And that's how we normally do a pre-programmed functionality. With just one click of mouse, we calculated these 15 different entities here. Okay. Now, if I want to understand, let's say kurtosis. So what I'll do, well, I have kurtosis in my presentation. So let me, talk about that. The input range is basically select the range of the variables you want to apply. Normally, you have to apply on a numerical variables because these are numerical data analytical techniques which is used. Okay, and there we have group by, labels, output option, summary statistics box. This is what we call summary statistics box. In a normal, in a normal way, this is our summary statistics box we are talking about, or pre-programmed Excel statistical executions. Okay, and then we have kth largest, kth smallest to display the high and low value. If you enter 1, the Excel displays the highest and lowest. It's like minimum and maximum. If you enter 2, it shows the second highest and second lowest, and then you can click OK. Okay, I'm going to share this presentation with you so that you can practice this by yourself. You can label the sheet as in, whatever you want to label it as well. Okay, so let me show you the labeling so that, okay, I'll go here.
It's like it's sorry to interrupt.
No, please go
Like
ahead.
if company, is this the company asks for, can you just give some of the summary like employee income? So this is actually a little summary. We can
Summary of
explain
the-
that.
Very right.
Exactly.
Very
Yeah,
right.
so we can explain that average on our employees' income, what is the largest, what is the average, and what is the actually highest one, smallest one. So
Very
it's like-
right. Very
Mhm.
rightly explained, ma'am. Again, this is what I want you to speak about. This is the best thing, the way you're going to perform as a data analyst. Because every man and woman have their own basic instinct to explain this analytical observation. The better your observer, the more you can explain. Okay, so please do practice these things. Try to build some resultant output in terms of showcasing whatever we've learned in a progressive manner. Okay, now let me go back and show you to understand how we can label the sheet as well. Okay, so I'll say data analysis, descriptive statistics. I'll say okay, and I want to choose from J2 to J1001 by columns. This thing now worksheet by I can say Ravindra data analysis. Okay, and you can give whatever label you want to see. And if I click OK, could you see the sheet has been named as an Ravindra data analysis, whatever I have given there. Okay, so this way you can create a number of such sheet with number of such columns as well. Okay, try to play around with this. Okay, so that you'll understand what we are doing and how we can do it on the job as well. This is not difficult, believe me. Once you try, please, try to use your imagination to explain it as well. Try to explain these things to your husband, wife, children's, and let them also learn these things. How do you do the standard and statistical analysis with Excel? Believe me, this does help out to bring out the best, understanding of the data in just a few clicks. That's why Excel have provided with you all these details. Does anybody have any questions for me as of now?
No, for my side.
Hello.
Hello, yes, sir. Please.
Yes, I have some question. So in here is a little bit complex with data analyst tool, and the data sheet is also complex. And my question is, if we are able to do everything that you touch today, tomorrow, and day after whatsoever, can we just showcase to the client or to the company whenever we interview, or you think it's not that good enough?
No, that's what will require, sir. That's why I say practice, do practice on your own. I'm going to share these Excel sheets to you so that you can practice on your own, and you should get similar result first. And then whenever we do a kind of hands-on practices, I'll give some more data sheet to practice on your own as well. Okay. So yes, do your practice and try to explain this thing to your better half, to your kids, or whatever, near to you, even your room partner. You can explain to them and try to explain in your terminology so that you know how to explain this data in a statistical manner. Yes, we need to practice this thing. And once you practice, you'll get to do it on your own rather than me guiding you. And yes, this is required on job. This is what we do as a data analyst. This is a total functionality to be done with the Excel automation. You have not typed a single formula or mathematical calculation, but the Excel have given you a complete detail of 15 different statistical formula implementation. Does that make sense, sir?
Yes.
Does that
So
answer?
if we interview and then the client asks to show our work, can we show all of this data that we have done in the class?
Yes,
Is that
definitely,
equal
sir.
to a projects?
Yes, sir. That's what we do normally on job.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, his question is like if he is interview questions, if they're gonna ask you in your present jobs, do you have the how you work with that? Can you present that? I don't think so. When you are interview questions, they're not gonna see what you did with your present job. They're gonna just ask you. If
Yes.
anything is practical, they're gonna just give their data or their information and play with you how you know about it.
Exactly.
But they're not
You
going
have
to
to
ask
explain
anything in the
steps.
present.
Yeah, you have to
Work.
explain the steps as I told you, right?
You just
Click
explain
here.
yourself. This is the studies methods. As like my present work, I have this kind of data, so I just present that by the studies method. So they're not gonna ask you what kind of, because it's confidential. Nobody gonna ask it. But you need to present exactly, explain like you've been work as a Guruschools employer.
Yeah. Please write down the steps, sir, so that you can try it on your own. Okay. Have a look at the recording, write down the step first, and then try it on your own. That's what I want to do. So that whenever somebody asks, you should be able to explain the step. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, it's answer my question. It's just like
In the interview,
when we want to showcase someone, we need to have the data. We need to
exactly.
have
They don't
the
normally
description statistic to show them in order to interpret what is it on the slide, what is it on the PowerPoint that we have, right? We are
right.
not going to just like explain in a plain thing that, okay, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 step, and then we're not able to interpret the data that we do the analysis.
Sir, in interview, you need to just speak, right? They don't normally ask to
Mhm.
showcase anything. So for speaking, you need to express these steps in your own word. Like, which column have you selected? Which, menu item or a ribbon item have you clicked? Could you understand the ribbon item, menu item, this difference?
Yeah.
Yeah. So please practice this thing couple of times so that you'll be able to do it on your own, and then write down a script. Like if somebody asks, how do you do data analysis in Excel? You can tell them in a menu item, go to data, click on data analysis tab, then click on, either descriptive statistics or whatever you want to do. Select the, number of elements like the columns, click on certain checkboxes to get whatever you want to get in terms of as an output from that Excel file. And this way, this is my way of explaining. Your way might be a bit different. Okay, so please do try on your own. Like Sonia madam was trying on her own whenever I was discussing with you, sir. Like that, you can also try on your own. Okay, and then you could be able to explain in your words. Does that make sense, sir?
Yes, thank you so much.
Most welcome, sir. And this is what the actual data analysis is all about, right? Now, yes, could we take a feedback of, overall our learnings today? Lim, sir, could you please start with you? How do you find today's session, sir?
Yes, today's session is very much interested because all the session today is about the company going to make the data analyst, or data analyst need to do it from every day in the first 30 day, and and we also need to learn how to interpret all the data in the way that we can interpret to the management or to the clients. So it's very, very good for this session. And in the upcoming session, I believe it's gonna have 3 more sessions important like we do today.
Sure, definitely, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot for that. Could you please nominate somebody?
I would like to nominate Sonia.
Yes, Sonia, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Lim. Definitely today class is so more helpful because we learn type of the data analysis report or intent, and we do the practical hands-on how is actually performed as like we need to do in the daily basis analysis. So this is so helpful. We learn a lot, and yes, we need to more practice for and Ravinder sir with us. So it's
Sure,
need
ma'am.
more practice, but it's really helpful.
Thank you, ma'am.
Lesson today. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Could you please nominate somebody?
I'm nominate Neha.
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Yes, yeah, it was really good and informative learning about different kinds of analysis and its practical application also. So yeah, thank you. It was really good.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, ma'am. Could you please nominate somebody?
Harini? Harini is there? Okay.
Could you please
Uh,
a bit louder?
She left maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gayatri and Rita,
Okay.
Raja. They are
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Today's session is very, very engaging and very hands-on, and I am actually starting to feel the tension vibe for the interview already. Like, how am I going to remember?
We have, please don't worry. Don't be get tense.
So-
See, you need to practice a bit, because without practice, we won't understand the depth, right? And you should be able to build those script, what we normally talk. Script is basically pre-prepared answer. And you can practice in front of mirror or something, so that you should be able to explain it really well. And
Yeah.
that's how we work out. Please don't worry.
Okay.
We are there with
Can
you.
I say something
Oh,
too?
there's so much, and there's so many lots of formulas in Excel.
Right.
And yeah, I'm also excited. I'm thinking that I'm going to learn a lot this week in
Definitely.
the upcoming 2 classes. And thank you so much for this very valuable session.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Could you please nominate somebody?
Yeah, Gayatri.
Gayatri, ma'am. Gayatri, ma'am. Gayatri.
Hi, my name is Gayatri.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for appreciate your class, because I am a beginner.
Sure, ma'am.
Today is my first class.
Oh,
First class now, I think second class. First class is Prerna madam, right?
oh yes.
Beginner
Okay, yeah,
analyst.
I can
So data analyst is the first class. It's a good
remember.
because I'm learning new things, because I'm beginner. So let's do my practice and all. But
Sure.
class is more attractive.
Sure, ma'am.
So thank you so much.
Sure. I'm going to say, share a video with other trainers as well. So if I miss something, you might, able to hear from them in a different way, and you might understand better as well. These things do happen in real life. Okay.
Yeah.
So please have a look
Also, sir, I am not sure if I missed the mock interview session.
Uh-huh.
Did you conduct the interview already? Because I
No,
maybe-
ma'am. We
No,
will.
no, no.
We'll do it again. Please don't worry. Give me,
Okay.
see, whenever we are through, after these, data analysis types, we're going to move on to learn about, oh, that's really good. You brought it up. We're going to learn on SQL training. Okay, let me take you to that slide. What? Give me a minute, please.
I'm gonna say the new people, please don't worry about the interview, because we the Guruschools cover first Excel, SQL, the the organization. So interview questions, make sure you're not gonna feel like beginner. You just say like the beginner. You're not gonna behind on it. So interview yourself, like what you learn each sessions. Repeat it and ask yourself, this might be interview questions. Maybe I need to face that scenario in the interview. So this is actually interview question, and Ravinder sir already shares the interview questions. So if you have knowledge, explain yourself. If you don't, and he has with us, you're gonna explain every day. So it's like, but don't worry with the interview, because I'm the beginner too. So I still remember the first sessions, but it just he with us. If you have any questions, WhatsApp group and the Ravinder sir. So we help each other. But don't worry about the interview question, but practice it. That's why he said, practice it, make yourself confidence like I'm doing on it. And definitely we need a job, and this is the Guru School. We are the trainer for the Guru School, so definitely they're gonna help us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia ma'am. Thanks a lot. Very correctly said. Now, in most probably next week, we're going to start on MS SQL. Okay, so we need to download and install this MySQL database on our laptop, desktop, whatever you have. It's a smaller installation. It's up around a gig of your hard drive space and something like that. So if you don't know, I've shared the link in the group. Please download, and I'm going to share a video with you as well, where the person is going to guide you on how to actually install these MySQL server on your local machine. Okay, so please have a look at this video and download that MySQL and install these things for our practice in our next week. I'm going to give you a week's time, right? So I think that's sufficient. If you have any problem, you might contact your husband or someone who know how to install these things. Most probably it will get installed on its own, and you might not have any problem. Okay, thank you. Thanks
So
a lot.
when is the next session?
Day after tomorrow, ma'am.
Okay.
Today is Monday, right?
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Rita? Yeah, if you can provide more spreadsheet like practice, like today's one is good, like, is bigger spreadsheet. So if you can send some more so we can practice more.
Yes, ma'am. Do you have access to that Google Drive where we have practiced, previously?
Yes, that,
You have, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to, even put this Excel sheet there, which we are trying as an employee Excel sheet today. And even that car sales Excel sheet, I'll upload it over there so that you can practice with these things. Or you can go to Google and search for data analysis practice Excel sheet. And you might get hundreds and hundreds of Excel sheet. But what I would really suggest, practice on the things which we have done till date. Okay. When have you joined this course, ma'am?
I joined from beginner for January 26th, Sonia?
Yes,
24?
January 24. We are the January 24 batch. So
24.
we're just big middle, with the middle. We're not the
Sorry, this time I'm doing my laptop, so number came. This is Rita, and we joined January.
No worries. I've just asked.
Yeah, and other
Yeah.
question I want to ask, sir, like the course we have, when is gonna be end the course? So
In
just
the next 2 weeks.
after 2 weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
And we have
Okay.
interview sessions in the next week, this mock interview session and all. So there'll be guidance. But if you want to start applying now. Don't wait till the end. That's what will be my suggestion. So that we'll learn from interview as well, right? Whatever things they have asking you, whatever things they are basically want you to prepare on and all those things. So we can get it prepared with everybody else as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Chalo, let me close this session today. Please download this MS SQL and install so that will be ready in our next database retrieval type of hands-on experience. Okay. Chalo. Thank you. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
You have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.